Before Bruce became Mr. Universe of 1959, he weighed 401 pounds.
Wow.
His secret is that he lost 218 pounds.
Welcome back to the Enduring Aesthetics Podcast. On today's episode, Clint and I talk about Bruce Randall, former Mr. Universe, and a man who had one incredible transformation. Let's get right into it. What's the basic time frame of Bruce Randall? You know, if you had to put his story chronologically,
sure,
help me get a grasp on that.
Yeah, so I'm looking at his numbers right now, and so at the beginning of 1953, he was 203 pounds. These are official measurements. Starting in 1953, he was around 203 pounds. So he decided that he wanted to do powerlifting, and of course, he needed to increase his weight to get stronger and to be able to lift more. He was about 6'2", so pretty big guy.
Yeah.
And so he decided that basically every day he needed to eat. His theory was he needed to expand his stomach slowly, right? And so every day he would eat a little bit more than the day before.
So he's putting weight on. He started at 2.
Right. Started at 203. I'm looking
203.
I'm looking at his schedule now. So he had four meals a day. 6:30 in the morning, 11:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the afternoon, and then 9:30 at night.
Does it say what he was eating?
Somewhat. I mean, anything really. But then during the in between meals, he was drinking a lot of milk. I'm reading this right here. It said that on average, he consumed 8 to 10 quarts a day of milk with 12 to 18 eggs. That was just his average. Wow. He said it wasn't uncommon for him to drink 2 quarts of milk for breakfast along with 28 fried eggs and a loaf and a half of bread.
Good God.
And then it says he once consumed 19 quarts of milk in one day and 171 eggs in total over 7 breakfasts. That's a
lot of eggs.
Yeah, and it says that the milk that he drank that one day was close to 15,000 calories. So that will put weight on you for sure.
So what did that do to him? I mean, eating like a monster.
Yeah, eating like a monster. So in about 2.5 years, he bulks up from 203 pounds to 401. And that's an official measurement.
So 2 years, about 200 pounds.
Right. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, I built myself up on purpose because I found that there's a relationship between body weight and lifting ability. And if you eat the right kind of foods, and in conjunction with a barbell training program, you'll find as your weight increases, your strength increases. And I got a little carried away with that theory and went from 203 to 401 in 21 months.
And at this point, he's just thinking powerlifting.
Right. Which in those days, I don't think they had even coined the term powerlifting. It was just weightlifting.
So at that time, then there's in terms of competitive lifting, is there something like powerlifting today where you can go and there's weight classes and stuff, or basically it's just whoever shows up at an event goes and tries to lift as much weight as possible?
Yeah, so I'm not an expert on this, but I think they didn't have powerlifting meets. It was more of the Olympic lifts.
Okay.
That still, that we still do today. I think a lot of, clean and jerk movements, things like that.
Yeah, gotcha.
And apparently he was really good at that too. He was lifting close to, what the top guys in that era were lifting as far as Olympic athletes and the top lifters of that day. And then he basically just decided that, I guess he had enough of powerlifting. He wanted to go the complete opposite. He wanted to see if he had the discipline to diet really hard, work out, a lot harder, is a lot longer, I guess, probably not harder, this is the word, and see if he could become a bodybuilder. And so he cut his calories back.
Well, was there any catalyst behind that, or it's just like something he just decided?
Well, all right. Now, if you wanted to be a weightlifter, then why did you suddenly decide to pare down from your 401?
Well, actually, it was rather expensive. You see, I was one morning I sat down, had a loaf and a half of bread, 2 quarts of milk, and 28 fried eggs for breakfast. And another day, it was costing me very often over $100 a week to eat. That was economic necessity, I would say.
It sounds like Bruce was somebody who really enjoyed a challenge, and and he definitely challenged his body, right? So he diets really hard. You know, he's only eating really lean protein, vegetables, things like that. He, increased his the sets and reps significantly. I think he was only doing 3 to 5 sets, and the reps were about 3 to 5 too. And then he increased those up to 20, I think.
20 sets or 20 reps?
He increased the sets to 6 to 20, and then he increased the repetitions to 12 to 15 reps per set.
Okay. That's some pretty high volume.
Yes.
Even on the low end of that, 6 sets of 15 reps.
Right.
That's pretty.
For sure. And like I said in the article, I mean, he would do, in order to get this goal that he wanted, he would have these marathon workouts. And
so explain to me kind of like a marathon workout.
Yeah, so we've talked about, and in my book, you saw that they talked about how Steve Reeves could sometimes work out for 4 hours, full body. And again, I'm not sure what Bruce Randall was doing. I would think full body, since it was around the mid to late 50s. I would think he was probably doing a full body workout, especially as long as they were lasting too, because it says that he claimed that some of his workouts would last 6 to 7 hours.
Bruce was claiming 6 to 7 hours for a workout?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it says, and it said that his top numbers that he claimed were one time in a 2-day span, he exercised for 27 hours in 2 days, and 81 hours total in a week. That's nuts. That's
absurd. I can't imagine what you would feel after that,
right,
and what that would do to your body in terms of like recovery ability and
right.
Like how do you get back from that?
Right. And then so I mean, obviously he's extreme, right? It doesn't really specify his diet, but I'm sure that was probably extreme too. He cut back quite a bit. Almost too much, because it looks like in 8 or 9 months from his top weight of 401 pounds, 8 or 9 months later, he was only weighing 183 pounds. Yeah. So he dropped.
That's
yeah,
insane.
Yeah. So 220 pound weight loss in 8 or 9 months.
8 or 9 months.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
Yep.
One time I weighed over 401 pounds and had a 61 3/4 inch waist. This is a picture of myself in my more corpulent days. And on a high-protein diet and a lot of exercise, I lost 218 pounds in 32 weeks, and I got the 61 3/4 inch waist down to 29.5, and that was when I got lucky and won the Mr. Universe contest. So you can do just about whatever you make your mind up to do in exercise.
But this was a very interesting thing from the medical standpoint.
Yes, I've been reading a medical journal about it, and I'm not advocating anybody lose 218 pounds in 32 weeks. I just use this as an illustration of what exercise can do.
And after that, he felt like he was underweight, and I'm sure he was. And so then he actually put a little bit of weight on, entered his first bodybuilding contest, which was the Mr. America contest in June 1956. And let's see, so
was that an amateur competition, or was there an amateur division, or I thought Mr. America was like something you had to be qualified for or something?
No, not back then. Yeah, Mr. America was run by the AAU, so it was amateur. Anything AAU was amateur, and if you were professional, they wouldn't let you compete. Yeah, so he entered that in June, in March was when he weighed 183 pounds. So in a span of 73 days from when he weighed 183 pounds, he put on an extra 36 pounds in time for the contest.
My God.
Yeah. So he entered the contest at 219 pounds.
Which is solid.
Right.
Very solid.
At 6'2", and he placed 13th. So he did okay.
Okay.
And he entered a contest every year, one contest a year, and eventually it ended up with him winning the professional NABA Mr. Universe title in 1959.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he did become a professional bodybuilder, and he won the Mr. Universe, which,
yes.
I mean, at that time, it was the most prestigious competition, no?
Yeah, pretty much. Because no Mr. Olympia. I mean, the IFBB had a Mr. Universe, and they had a Mr. America and things like that, but it wasn't as nearly prestigious as NABA was.
As a Mr. Universe. Yeah.
For sure. And
wow.
Yeah, and he, like I said in my article, he probably would have won it the year before in 1958, but from what I read, literally like at the last second, Reg Park decided to enter the 1958 professional Mr. Universe contest, and so because of that, he beat out Bruce Randall for that title. So Bruce got second that year.
That's crazy. What do you think about that guy's transformation, his career?
Well, and then he just stopped competing. You know, it was like he won the professional Mr. Universe. But again, I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? Because that probably was the best title that you could win back then. And
could you compete again if you won it?
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
Because Reg Park competed in that several times. After he won the 1957, I think he won it again in like 65. And then I think and then there was the year he competed against Arnold and Draper. Was that 70? I think that might have been 1970 or 71. But yeah, you could continue to compete in it. But I guess Bruce was satisfied with, being one and done. It's funny because that was the first contest that he ever won. And it's like the most prestigious contest. So,
wow. Yeah. Man, that's nuts.
Yeah, he seemed like a guy that, if he put his mind to something, he was going to do it for sure.
So he won the Universe what year?
1959.
And it's generally regarded that steroids were introduced in bodybuilding at what year?
So the first steroid that was invented for that specific purpose, right, muscle building, was 1958, Dianabol. And but if you look at his transformation, right, when he went from 400 pounds to 183, that was done between 1955 and 1956. So Dianabol was not out there. That was still 2 years away from Dianabol. And even though Dianabol was invented in 1958, it's generally accepted that bodybuilders really weren't taking it until, the 60s, the early 60s.
Okay.
Which...
Wow. So I mean, I would assume, and I guess it'd probably be your assumption as well, that he did that all naturally then.
Yes. I would say, like 100%, he did that transformation naturally.
That says something for the natural athlete.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah, and I said in the article how convinced he was of the mind's, the power of the mind, right, to in his transformation, how powerful that was. Like I said, he was definitely a strong-minded, strong-willed guy. I mean, if something like that happened today, without a doubt, I think we'd be talking about like what'd they take, right?
Oh yeah.
Not like how hard did they diet, what were their workouts like? We'd be like, man, what injection?
Yeah.
What injection was this guy getting? What pills was he taking?
And we'd be asking that even looking at half the transformation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, 220 pounds in 8 or 9 months? Yeah, that's...
absurd.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, you know, at the end of the article that it kind of makes you question, you know, maybe we shouldn't throw around so often that, oh, like, this guy's on steroids, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, what Bruce Randall did was pretty impressive, and like I said, I'm 100% sure he wasn't on steroids.
Yeah.
So
it's, I think we're a lot more capable than we think we are.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more in the future, and comment below what your thoughts on Bruce Randall and his transformation are.
The only secret, really, of losing all this weight was to quit eating so much and to exercise while you were doing it, right?
That's the basic ingredients, yeah.